Okay, so today your lesson goal is that I can identify corresponding sides to solve for a missing side length. On Monday and Tuesday you were identifying corresponding sides, and it's going to take you here so that you can solve for a missing side. We're going to set up proportions based on your corresponding sides. Okay, so you should have the notes on finding the missing side length. We have a triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEF. We want to find the unknown measure of the triangle. Here is your unknown measure. It is X. Okay, so the first thing I have to do is I have to mark up my triangles. I'm going to put ABC and DEF on top of each other so that I can identify what side corresponds to which. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to mark up is AB. AB, which is right here, and DE, the first two letters of both triangles, are corresponding sides, and so I'm going to mark them up the same way. Then I'm going to choose the X. I know I need the X, and so I'm going to take DF, and it's the first and last, and it is going to correspond with AC, the first and last. And then, of course, your final one is BC, and I'm just going to put little circles, is similar to EF. Okay, so now my triangles are marked up. I'm going to identify my corresponding sides. Okay, so AB, line segment AB, which is the squiggly, is similar to line segment DE, the squiggly. Then I'm going to go BC, which is the circles. Line segment BC is similar to EF, my other circles. And then my final one is line segment AC is similar, and it is the stitching is similar to DF. These are my corresponding sides. Okay, so now, and know that you can pause the video at any time to write or catch up. Okay, so once we have our corresponding sides, if you look at your anchor chart, it says my second step is to set up a proportion based on the corresponding sides. Be sure to use the ratio that includes the X. This right here is the most important part. You have to use the ratio that includes the X. I'm actually going to identify that ratio first, and then I'm going to choose another pair of corresponding sides. Okay, so my ratio that has the X, it is the stitching. So I'm going to take DF, I'm starting on the big triangle, and it is similar to AC. So DF over AC, I'm sorry, you can't see it, DF over AC. And then I'm going to take another pair of corresponding sides. I'm going to go ahead and take DE, which is the squiggly, over AB. Okay, so I took DE over AB. Now, one thing you have to be very careful and make sure that you do is that I started with the large triangle. My numerator came from the large triangle. Okay, so I'm going to put a little L, the large triangle. The AC came from the small triangle. This is important because this second ratio must also follow the same order. I must go large to small. And so that's why I went DE, this is large, over AB, which came from the small triangle. So not only are my corresponding sides correct because I matched up my markings, but so are the order in which I did that. I went large triangle to small triangle, large triangle to small triangle. Okay, so now we're going to take this, and remember, you can pause the video at any time. I'm going to put the numbers that are associated with my letters. Okay, so DF, look at your large triangle, it is the X. AC from the small triangle is 15. DE from the large triangle, which is right here, the stitching, that is 10. And then AB from the small triangle, which is the stitching, is 5. Okay, so now you have a proportion with an X. This should look very familiar to you. We've been doing proportions since probably the beginning of school. Once you have the numbers set up correctly, then you simply cross multiply and divide. Same steps as always. So I'm going to go 15 times 10. 5 times 0 is 0. 1 times 0 is 0. Here's my empty placeholder. 5 times 1 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. When I add, I get 150. And then I'm going to take that 150, don't forget the second step, and divide it by 5. 5 goes into 15 3 times. When I multiply, I get 15. When I subtract, I get 0. But I still have a 0 that needs to come down, so that means that I have a 0 in the quotient. Okay, so my answer, X, my missing side length, is actually, 30. And we don't have any units, and so it would just be 30 units. Okay, so this is how we solve for a missing side length. Make sure that you have all your notes because it's going to directly apply to your we do, you do part of the notes. I'm going to set up a separate video for that. Get this glued in your journal and then you will be ready to start the second part of the notes. Thank you.